leaders of commerce and countries recognise the urgent need to decarbonise the world energy system. Net zero emission commitments are set to drive action, and many of the cleaner energy solutions are understood. Yet, while progress is being made, the scale of global decarbonisation efforts needs to increase faster. Despite this, one measure which promises action now can struggle to secure support. I'm talking about voluntary carbon markets, specifically carbon credits, which frequently attracts less positive news coverage. Shell publicly advocates the use of carbon credits to support activities to avoid and reduce emissions. To understand how and why Shell are addressing valid concerns about credit quality, I'm about to chat to Flora G, Vice President, Nature-Based Solutions, Shell. Hi, Flora. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, Nadira.
Flora, I think we should start with you explaining what are nature-based solutions.
Thank you, Nadira. It's a pleasure to talk to you. Nature-based solutions are the activities that protect, sustainably manage, and restore various natural ecosystems. And by doing so, these activities can create carbon sinks and also generate societal and environmental co-benefits. So by doing such investments, the carbon sinks can be quantified as carbon credits. And then such carbon credits, of course, has a role to play to compensate the hard-to-abate emissions.
Why does Shell believe in their potential, and how do they fit into a decarbonisation strategy?
Yeah, so there are various statistics, and the estimate is that, nature-based solutions can contribute to up to 37% of the mitigation requirements by 2030 to achieve the Paris Agreement. So when it comes to the Shell decarbonization strategy, carbon credits is a relatively small part, but also important part of this journey. It is an addition, but not a replacement of the various decarbonization efforts we're working on, such as EV charging, hydrogen, CCS, low carbon fuels, renewables, R&D efforts, etc. So we follow the mitigation hierarchy of avoid emissions, reduce emissions, and only then offset emissions.
Flora, it's a really complex process. Can you explain what it really takes to make a nature-based solution project work?
Yeah, so I want to address this question by two concrete and real examples. The first one is a project we're running in Philippines, and this is a community-based reforestation project. We're working together with University of Sunshine Coast in Australia and also the Visayas State University in Philippines to collaborate on a program around 10,000 hectares with over a dozen of people's organizations to, work on the reforestation over the degraded lands. So here, what's important is to find a way to aggregate these people's organization and local villages together into the program. The first thing is about the understanding of the carbon concept and carbon program, but then it's also about how to find meaningful ways to involve them. So this is about job creation along the value chain, right from seedling to nursery to plantation maintenance and so on and so forth. And importantly, we have to make sure the local communities, we will get their consent along the way to work on their land and to also find a way to create positive impact to their livelihood. So I would say a carbon program in reality goes beyond accounting measurements. Is also about efforts with local communities, indigenous groups on the ground to create sustainable and also long-lasting impacts. The second example I will use is an India rice cultivation project, which is in collaboration with Bayer, Gen Zero, and also IRI. This is a very classic example of collaboration. So together, we're working over around 25,000 hectares in the first year. These are rice cultivation we try to do to reduce the methane emission and also improve water management. And by doing this project, we also contribute to the methodology itself. So currently, the consortium is also advising Vera about the rice methodology update they're working on.
Flora, if nature-based solutions and carbon credits have such potential, can you explain why they're not being used more widely?
So I would say the public sector has been working on this for decades. And if we look at the statistics, currently around 80% of the finance comes from the public sector. And private sector has a role to play. And, private sector, we are very good at deploy long-term investment. There is a role for private sector to play. However, the challenge is about the fear and also the lack of trust. There are lots of negative reports in the market about nature-based solutions, especially carbon offsetting angles, greenwashing, and so on and so forth. On the other side, there are also histories around legacy practices, which lead to lack of high-quality supply, lead to very twisted stories about benefit sharing in some programs. So I would say there is a joint task for the industry and for the country and, policymakers to work on to really tackle some of these challenges to evolve the market.
Flora, let's talk about quality and what it means in the context of nature-based offsets.
Quality is of paramount importance. I would say, quality and integrity, these are almost like prerequisites to the carbon market, to its own credibility and also sustainability. So quality, of course, is a very heated debate today in the carbon market. What does it mean? First and foremost, we have to make sure 1 ton carbon credits genuinely represent 1 ton carbon dioxide, either removed or reduced from the atmosphere. And beyond that, there are also considerations of permanence, leakage risk, safeguards, benefit sharing, and so on and so forth. So I would say quality is a collection of considerations to make sure such carbon benefits are real. And we just need to find tools to work on this to ensure its own credibility.
Flora, would you share with us your thoughts on the question of accounting?
As I just shared, accounting starts with the accuracy of measurements in a way. But then MRV, the monitoring, reporting, verification technology will have to play a role to increase the accuracy of measurements. And then beyond that, I would say, Nadira, accounting, of course, is important, but that's not the whole story of carbon credits. Because while carbon credits are transactionable, you can sell it via electronic registry account. The actual carbon efforts stay on the ground with the local communities and with the project proponents. So there has to be consideration how to really incentivize local communities and how to do it in a positive impact way to make sure this is not going to be at the sacrifice of their livelihood.
There's always a question of trust, isn't there? So what makes Shell credible in the nature-based solutions space?
For us, carbon credits will never be a substitute or replacement of what we do around decarbonization efforts. It is in addition to the existing efforts and ongoing programs. So from that perspective, from both supply and demand angles, we do our best to make sure our program, our carbon credits are genuine, are trustworthy, and this can bring tangible impacts to the society and to our customers.
Thanks for your insights, Flora. Very much appreciated. Now, let's look at the number one thing that you would like listeners to take away from our conversation.
So I would say there has to be a balance between practicality over idealism. Don't wait for the perfect solution, but take actions today to improve the market and to allow the market to evolve over time. So there is a famous quote I like very most. The greatest challenge to our planet is the belief that somebody else will save it. This is the time to take action. We do not have time to waste.
Thanks for joining me, Flora.
Thank you, Nadira.